Civilization or Barbarism, an Authentic Anthropology by Dr. Cheikh and Diop. Why does he content himself with saying that Struve has given powerful etymological evidence? Which evidence? He is careful not to cite the most important piece, which by itself constitutes a sledgehammer argument that prohibits relying on any secondary obscurity of the text or on its classically mathematical laconism in order to cause doubt about the true significance of neb, equal basket, equals calabash, equals half sphere. It seems as if there is an implicit complacency on the part of some scholars who take in consideration Pete's criticisms because none of them, Otto Neuenbauer in particular, mentions this grave omission by Pete. The latter, by beginning his critique with Struve's second argument, thus makes a monumental confession. In line 6 of the text of the problem 10, it is said, because the neb, meaning the calabash, is a half of an egg. But the reading of this excuse me, neb, meaning last word in there of the hieratic text of the papyrus is difficult from the outset because the papyrus is badly damaged in this spot. Nevertheless, the first letter I of the word is very clear. Likewise, the beginning of the N and the R in hieratic, as well as the uh, determinative of the word, and egg, entirely drawn in oblique position. Struve reinforces his argument by showing that this is not the only case where the Egyptian scribe compares in a problem of the neb, a half sphere, with an egg. To this end, he even cites a Greek text of the Ptolemaic epic because, as he will say in concluding his study, Greek geometry derives not from Babylonian geometry, but from of Egypt, as exercises 10, surface of a sphere, and 14, volume of a truncated pyramid, a test edited 2,000 years before the birth of Greek mathematics. Similarly, the author explains the use of M instead of the genitive N in the Egyptian phrase to indicate the only necessary dimension to know in the case of exercise 10. Now, it is on these two facts, the debatable term egg and M instead of the genitive N, that Pete tries to play. Therefore, for him, problem 10 deals not with the surface of a half sphere, but with that of a half cylinder. He wants to demonstrate that the term missing in the damaged part of the papyrus is ipta and not inner. The first pertinent objection that his exegetes or critics refrain from telling him is the following. If, as he claims, the scribe means to speak of a cylinder as ipt and not of a sphere as nebd, why did he use 3 times the term neb with the vertical bar and not once ipt in the intact part of the papyrus? One must refuse to see reality as Pete did in order not to see an egg in the determinative of the word whose reading is discussed. And this certainty, drawn from the evidence of the determinative, thoroughly confirms the idea that the two signs that are partly extant after the I are surely N and R, and not P and T in hieratic signs, which they do not resemble at all. If instead of an egg as the determinative, the scribe had wanted to reprint a barrel with the usual jet of a grain to write the word ipt, where did the jet go? And on the other hand, what a difference with the usual forms. But here is another weighty argument that has not been emphasized. If the problem deals with the surface of a sphere, the scribe only needs to give one datum, the diameter of the sphere, and this is exactly what he did. If the concerned a if it this concerned a cylinder, two data would be needed: the diameter and the radius, and or the radius and the height of the cylinder. Obviously, this latter data are lacking because of all the reasons given above. But Pete does not recoil from this difficulty. He will invent the missing data, adding a phrase of his own, making to the scribe's text. But even in this case, things cannot hold together as they say, because by a miracle, the diameter and the height of the cylinder would have to be equal. Pete arbitrarily postulates this equality of the diameter and the height of his invented cylinder, which he substitutes for the half sphere of the scribe. He is so unsure of his arbitrary modifications of the problem's text that he adds that, after all, it could also concern a semicircle. What a trite exercise, but more certainly a half cylinder. All of this because he estimates that if it really dealt with a half sphere, the idea that one wanted to have about Egyptian mathematics would change completely. And in this case, we should have, as Struve sees, to put Egyptian mathematics on a very much higher level than previously seemed necessary. It would be very flattering to the Egyptians and very important for the history of mathematics if we could place this brilliant piece of work to their credit. We'll pause right there. Continue back. Chapter 16, Civilization of Barbarism. I'm Uriel Riley. High as heart.